Let's get straight to breaking news overnight. A historic encounter just hours ago at the DMZ, the border between North and South Korea.
President Trump shaking hands with the North Korean leader Kim Jong Un, who accepted a last-minute invitation from Trump, extended over Twitter. Trump then stepped over the border, becoming the first U.S. president to enter North Korea.
After that, the two leaders met behind closed doors for more than 30 minutes. They did not cut a deal to denuclearize North Korea, but they did agree to restart stalled talks. We have team coverage this morning. George Stephanopoulos is standing by, but we start here with Chief White House correspondent John Karl, who's on the ground in Seoul, South Korea. John, good morning.
Good morning, Whit. With one dramatic gesture, President Trump became the first American president to set foot in North Korea and also the first to set up an impromptu meeting with a North Korean dictator via tweet. At first, the meeting seemed well choreographed. President Trump walking from the South Korean side, Kim Jong Un from the north. "Good to see you again," Kim said. "Never thought I'd see you here." The handshake across the border. Then the step into North Korea, a first for an American president. And it happened just 32 hours after Trump tweeted the invitation to meet at the border. As they walked back to the South Korean side,
it's a great day for the world, and it's an honor for me to be here.
Another rarity. Kim Jong Un speaking to American reporters. President Trump has just walked across the demarcation line, he said. That made him the first U.S. president to visit our country.
Tremendous positivity. Really great things are happening, and in a lot of places. But we met and we liked each other from day one, and that was very important.
As they walked toward the so-called House of Freedom,
where are they going?
Chaos. Security guards at first blocked the U.S. press, and then a scramble to get the American reporters inside. That's the new White House press secretary, Stephanie Grisham, elbowing and shoving a North Korean security guard. More chaos inside the meeting, and words of diplomacy.
It's just an honor to be with you, and it was an honor that you asked me to step over that line, and I was proud to step over the line.
The two leaders then met behind closed doors for about 40 minutes, followed by another chaotic scene as Trump walked Kim back over to North Korea. There's no question today's meeting was an historic first, but after two summits and now one impromptu meeting, North Korea's nuclear program remains fully in place. President Trump did announce there will be a new round of talks at lower levels with the aim of setting up an agreement that would finally add some substance to this incredibly powerful symbolism. Whit?
Truly an extraordinary scene there, John. This, of course, was classic Trump, the master showman in his element. You were there for his two previous meetings with Kim. How big was this moment for President Trump?
Whit, in terms of sheer performance, this may have been Trump's biggest as president. Keep in mind, North Korea is known as the hermit kingdom. North Korean leaders are famously reclusive. The idea of setting up something impromptu is really unheard of, especially in this dramatic fashion on the border. But as I mentioned, the North Korean nuclear program is fully in place. There's not been any progress towards even an agreement to begin scaling it back. So the big question now is whether all of this symbolism, this big dramatic gamble that the president has made, succeeding at least in a diplomatic way initially more than where his predecessors failed, whether or not it would lead to some kind of agreement to actually end that nuclear program.
The important question. John Karl in Seoul, South Korea for us. Thank you. Dan?
Whit and John, thank you very much. Let's bring in our chief anchor, George Stephanopoulos, who will be hosting This Week later this morning. George, good morning.
Good morning.
So that was captivating, a little chaotic. Even though there was no progress on the underlying denuclearization talks, is just restarting the talks a win?
I don't know about win or lose, but what we do know is, as John just pointed out, this was the dramatic headline, the dramatic photo that President Trump wanted. He's a great showman. He pulled it off today. There's just no question about that. But when you're looking, first of all, politically and then substantively politically, the president had it seemed like at first a successful meeting in Singapore with Kim Jong Un just about a year ago. That didn't seem to change his approval ratings one way or another. He had a failed summit in Hanoi with Kim Jong Un earlier this year. That didn't change his approval approval ratings one way or another. So I'm not sure there's that much political impact either way. The big question, it's the one that John gets to, is will this lead to any kind of substantive progress?
Well, the president is saying there's been progress already. His quote this morning was that under the previous administration, Barack Obama, relations with North Korea were a fiery mess. So is he right that he's moved the ball forward in any meaningful way?
In fact, the tensions increased the most when President Trump first came in to office, and you had those fiery tweets between him and Kim Jong Un. That tension,
fire and fury.
Fire and fury. That tension clearly has gone down. But when you look at the substance, even though the president now has had 3 meetings with Kim Jong Un, not only is, as John Carl points out, the North Korean nuclear program fully in place. In fact, according to U.S. intelligence estimates, his nuclear stockpile has actually increased over the last year. It is true there have not been any long-range ballistic missile tests, but there have been short-term tests. It doesn't appear that Kim Jong Un has held back his nuclear program in any meaningful way.
All right, so let's just go back to the politics for a second. So you have this kind of interesting split screen because all week long we watched the Democratic presidential candidates. I think there are 150 of them on the stage.
23, but
23, close enough. On stage in these 2 sequential debates, Wednesday and Thursday night, and they spent a lot of time fighting one another. So while they're fighting, we have the president making these bold moves on the world stage. Isn't that politically potentially valuable for him, even though, as you said, it hasn't moved the needle?
It could if that's what people are focused on. I'm not sure that is what people are focused on. And even this week has been kind of a mixed bag for President Trump. He certainly is dominating the headlines overseas, also taking some criticism for cozying up to Vladimir Putin, seeming to joke about election interference, for cozying up to the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman, even though it's clear that he directed the killing of the American journalist, Saudi-American journalist Khashoggi. So I think that's a double-edged sword for the president. So much will depend on the substantive, what grows out substantially from these meetings. Will Russia interfere in our elections again? Will there be a trade agreement, a real trade agreement with China? Will we actually make progress on lowering the nuclear program in North Korea? If that happens, yes, this will be a plus for the president, but the jury is out.
Incredibly valuable context from you, George Stephanopoulos, as always. That's why we pay you the big bucks. Thank you. George, by the way, is going to have a big show this morning. He'll go one-on-one with the 2020 presidential candidates, Julian Castro and Senator Bernie Sanders, plus post-debate analysis with the Powerhouse Roundtable. It is all coming up on This Week right here on ABC later this morning. George, thanks again.
Guys.
Appreciate it.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.